towering mountains, deserts, sprawling river and lake systems, and a long coastline, all rounded out by a mild climate. This is California today, and was once the California that many Native Americans experienced before the arrival of Europeans. Perhaps due to California's vast variety of landscapes, prehistoric California had an enormous amount of cultural diversity. At the time of contact with Europeans, there were 100 different groups of Native Americans. Incredibly, despite many of these groups living across California's multiple different environments, many of them often relied upon one primary food source to fill their bellies: the acorn. This was made possible by the abundance of acorn-bearing oak trees in California. It is because of this sheer abundance of food that some researchers think that prehistoric California may have been a Garden of Eden, where there was no need for agriculture or other developments such as pottery. This characterization may, however, be far from reality. Though there indeed was an absence of agriculture and pottery, it was extremely labor-intensive to turn acorns into food products. There also may have been frequent warfare between prehistoric Californians, due to the many battered remains that have been found. The populations of the prehistoric Californian groups were large and managed by complex chiefdoms and sociopolitical organizations. Many of the economies of these groups used shell beads as currency. Trade networks were also vast and wide-ranging. Prehistoric California was likely far from being a simple and carefree landscape. Join me as we explore the prehistory of human beings in the region of California. There is no known evidence of pre-Clovis people living in California. If such evidence were to exist, it could very well be laying submerged in the waters near the coasts, as these areas may have been the site of early Americans traveling on foot or by boat. The Clovis peoples are the first humans known to have existed in California. Only a few of their stone points have been found near or along the coasts. Instead, most evidence of a Clovis presence has been found in the inland regions. These sites are very scattered and relatively small. Only 2 sites are known to exist that indicate large-scale Clovis-era activity. These 2 sites are located along Lake Borax and Lake Tulare. Lake Borax lays within the northwestern coastal areas of California, which is made up of mountains, dense forests, and abundance of rivers. The coastlines themselves are rough, with vast multitudes of cliffs and few beaches. Multiple points bearing the characteristic Clovis flutes, as well as the spectacular and odd crescent styles, have been found along Lake Borax. The crescent-shaped stone points have been found across western North America, but especially throughout California. They are usually found near bodies of water. The precise purpose of the crescent-shaped stone points is still hotly debated by researchers, but they think they were likely attached to a wooden shaft and used to hunt birds. There may even be evidence of Clovis-era human remains at the Moston site in northwestern California. However, the age of the remains are disputed, with most researchers contending that they are no older than about 6,300 years old. Lake Tulare, one of the largest freshwater lakes in western North America, lays within the San Joaquin Valley, in the southern part of the Central Valley. Several Clovis points have been found on the lake's southwestern shores. The shores around the lake are considered to have the highest concentration of fluted points in North America. The Central Coast region is made up of low-elevation mountains, oak parkland forests, and sandy and rocky coastlines. The South Coast area, including the Channel Islands, consists largely of a vast coastal plain, oak parklands, and sandy beaches. Multiple Clovis-era sites have been found along the coasts and islands of Central and Southern California. The culture responsible for all these coastal and island sites likely used boats and consumed maritime resources such as shellfish, fish, and marine mammals. Much of the evidence for these people's activities is likely now submerged underwater, as after the glaciers receded at the end of the last glacial maximum, global sea levels rose dramatically. However, along the central coastal region of California at the Cross Creek site, there has been found a large pile of shells that had long ago been eaten and discarded by humans. It is the largest of its kind known to exist along the mainland coast of western North America, and dates to between 10,350 to 9,700 years ago. The site also contained many manos and metates, which are stone tools that were used to grind food. This find suggests that the use of small seeds occurred much earlier than the generally agreed upon 8,500 years ago date. Many archaeologists have argued that the Cross Creek site is direct evidence of early Americans entering into the interior of the continent through a coastal entry point, a route that is separate from the inland entry point through Beringia that the ancestors of the Clovis culture may have taken. At the Diablo Canyon site, there is more evidence of coastal peoples in California. Here there was found evidence of shellfish and fish consumption dating to between 9,300 and 8,900 years ago. South of what is now the present-day city of Santa Barbara are numerous instances of evidence of the use of maritime resources like fish, shellfish, and marine mammals. Some of the most interesting sites exist on the Northern Channel Islands, as the peoples associated with these sites had to have had relatively sophisticated boat technology. The earliest site is Daisy Cave, on what is now San Miguel Island. Human presence here dates to 12,000 years ago, based on a pile of eaten and discarded shells they left behind. Human remains have also been found there, and have been named Toucan Man, and date to around 9,700 years ago. Archaeologists have found evidence of intense fishing, finding that 18 different kinds of fish were likely harvested for use. All of this strongly suggests that boats were used during these pursuits. Parts of sandals and cordage, made out of seagrass, have also been found on the island, and are remarkably similar to those made in recent times by historical Native American groups of the region, such as the Chumash. Findings such as these support theories that the Chumash have lived in the region since at least the early Holocene. The Eel Point site located on the southern channel island of San Clemente is home to a large pile of used shells that dates to around 10,000 years ago. Incredibly, the earliest evidence of boat building has also been found at Eel Point and dates to around 8,000 years ago. Along the coast of Southern California, south of the present-day city of Los Angeles, one of the earliest evidence of human presence comes from the Harris site. Other materials like those found at the Harris site have been found in the general region of Southern California and are considered part of the Western stem tradition. As the Holocene set in around 11,700 years ago, and the climate became drier and warmer, the interior of California and Western North America in general saw the Clovis culture morph into the Western stem tradition. The stone points from these people are defined by crescents, large stems, and shouldered and lanceolate points. Altogether, the Western stem tradition dates to between 10,000 and 9,000 years ago. Towards the end of the Pleistocene, many peoples made heavy use out of the many lakes that were once present in Western North America. These peoples used stem points and engaged in an economy based around the use of marsh plants, fish, freshwater shellfish, and small game. There is even evidence of their presence in the Colorado Desert, though these people likely only ventured into the region on occasion to pursue game and collect seasonably available wild plants. By 8,500 years ago, the interior became drier, and many of the lakes that these people depended upon ceased to exist, except for lakes like Lake Tulare, which still exist today in the San Joaquin Valley. Along the eastern edge of the California region are the Sierra Nevada and Cascade mountain ranges. The Sierra Nevada consists largely of granite, with a vast range of foothills on its western side, and an escarpment on its eastern side. Most of the rainfall in the area falls upon the foothills and the winding array of rivers flowing into the Central Valley. The Cascade Mountains are not as tall as the Sierra Nevada Mountains, but still have many rivers in their proximity that likewise flow into the Central Valley region. There is very little evidence of human presence in the Sierra Nevada during the late Pleistocene and early Holocene. The one exception is the Skyrocket site in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, which is located 40 miles east of the present-day city of Stockton. The earliest items of the site date to between 9,400 and 700 years ago, and contain stemmed and side-notched points. Numerous manos and metates have been found at the site, and are the earliest known in the region, and are seen as evidence of early Americans shifting their way of life away from the nomadic Clovis-type lifestyles. During the early Holocene at around 9,000 years ago, a warming climate forever altered the flora and fauna of California, thereby changing human behaviors across the region. Mano and metate tools spread all over the region, and stemmed projectile points fell out of use and were replaced with side-notched points. All along the coast of Southern California, there have been found scrapers and chopping tools. In contrast, a general lack of stone points and butchered animal remains have been found from this era. This is all indicative of a well-developed gathering-based economy, and due to this, stone point production and hunting fell into decline. In Northern California, during the early Holocene, many stemmed stone points, crescents, single flake blades, and manos and metates have been found near Lake Borax. The people in the vicinity of Lake Borax had an economy that revolved around hunting and gathering, alongside the collection of seeds. In Southern California, during the early Holocene, the Encinitas tradition dominated. These peoples processed hard seeds, but also pursued hunting, fowling, and fishing, and the use of maritime shellfish along the coast. At the time, the Channel Islands were much different compared to the mainland. On the northern Channel Islands, at sites dating to between 8,000 and 6,500 years ago, a minimal amount of manos and metates were found. In contrast, numerous digging sticks were found. The digging sticks were likely used to harvest tubers. However, marine resources would have likely been the focus. San Clemente Island was once the site of a major occupation between 8,900 and 5,500 years ago. Upon the island, the remain of 18 large house pits made of whale bones have been found, which strongly indicates that sedentary groups of fishermen lived in the area. During the early Holocene, not many people lived in the interior regions of California. Regions as vast as the Cascade Range, the Sacramento Valley, and the southern San Joaquin Valley had very little occupation. These valleys reside within a region known as the Central Valley, which lies between the Sierra and Cascade Ranges and the Coast Ranges, and runs up and down the center of California. It is around 450 miles in length and around 40 to 60 miles in width. The rivers from the Cascade Mountains and the northern Sierras drain into the Sacramento Valley and the Sacramento River, which flows in a southerly direction. On the other hand, the rivers from the central and southern Sierra Mountains drain into the San Joaquin Valley and into the north-flowing San Joaquin River. By about 7,000 years ago, the climate began cooling once more, leading also to the cooling of ocean temperatures. During the middle of the Holocene, mortar and pestle technology appeared across the many different regions of California. This technology was used to process acorns into food, and its spread across California is thought to be evidence of the adoption of acorns as a food source on a mass scale. For many cultures, acorns became a staple in their diets. Evidence of this development is supported by the moderate to severe dental wear upon most human remains found in prehistoric California, dating to after 5,000 years ago. Since mortar and pestle tools are made from stone, their use in the processing of acorns into food leaves behind tiny stone particles in the processed acorns. While these particles may not be noticeable when eating, over time they can wear down teeth. Nevertheless, conditions improved for peoples, which led to population expansions and the increase of sociopolitical complexity. The economies of many native Californian groups now revolved around acorns. California then, as now, has a great amount of acorn-producing oak trees. Around 15 different species of oak trees that produce acorns exist in California. While acorns were everywhere throughout the region and could be easily gathered during autumn and stored in granaries for later use, it took the female members of the various Native American groups a lot of time and energy to collect and process them. But once processed into edible food, they provided a lot of nutrition. The processing of the acorns into food was done on a daily and on an as-needed basis. The nut of the acorn was first removed from its shell. Within a mortar, the nut was then crushed into a powder. This powder was then soaked in water to wash out the bitter-tasting tannic acid. This process eventually produced a mush or bread. This was then eaten by itself or with other food. By around 5,000 years ago, sea levels had generally stabilized. Many sandy beaches began to form along California's coasts, along with estuaries, mudflats, and marshes, which all in turn likely made the coast more attractive as a place to settle. Potential groups could now settle upon many coastal areas without having to worry about floods and erosion. Despite the adoption of acorns as a staple, hunting increased and economies became even more generalized than they ever were before. Shellfish collecting and sea mammal hunting became more common along the coasts, and salmon fishing on inland rivers increased. The number and sizes of sites dating to this era also increased dramatically compared to earlier eras. Dense forests and rugged coasts of Northern California made it difficult to harvest resources, leading the peoples there to focus their energies on acorns and salmon. Along the central coast during the Middle Holocene, mortar and pestle technology saw heavy use. The peoples here likely shifted from a mobile lifestyle exploiting coastal resources to a more sedentary lifestyle using acorns and hunting. At the point where the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers meet stands a marsh system that is the largest in western North America, whose waters flow into the San Francisco Bay. In this bay region, by about 5,500 years ago, shellfish began to be consumed in large numbers, as evidenced from the large piles of discarded shells that have been found there. These sites contain a mixture of shell, ash rock soil, human burials and cremations, but very few artifacts. Some archaeologists have theorized that the mounds of shells may not just be simple trash heaps, and may instead have been monuments that served as tombs and cemeteries, and perhaps as territorial markers for villages. Between 6,500 and 5,500 years ago, the number of sites across California decreased dramatically, which suggests that populations decreased during a time of warming in the climate. By about 5,800 years ago, shellfish species decreased significantly, which indicates that bays and estuaries were shrinking and disappearing at the time. Several hundred years later, shellfish had adapted to sandy beach environments and had increased in number as the climate cooled and the weather became wetter. During the Middle Holocene along the Santa Barbara coast, the number of sites of human habitation increased, along with an increase in the intensity of activity at the sites, which are both highly suggestive of population increases. As with many other areas of California, acorns became the most important resource during this time, as well as fishing. Marine mammals were hunted too, which indicates that ocean-going boats were built at this time. Near the end of the Middle Holocene at about 3,000 years ago, the populations along the Santa Barbara coast increased again. Labor became specialized, especially in the context of acorn and bread production, all of which may have led to an increase in social complexity. During the Middle Holocene in the Sacramento Valley, there was a massive increase in human activity, particularly in the consumption and use of acorns and salmon. By 5,000 years ago, mortars and pestles either appeared or increased in number during this time in this region. By about 2,500 years ago, Hokan groups were living in the foothills of the northern Sierra Nevada. At the same time, Penutian groups were beginning to expand into the valley, establishing large villages wherever they went. One of the best preserved traits of the peoples of this region are their burial practices, as some 85% of their graves contain artifacts. Men were often buried in different areas, within deep graves filled with artifacts, while children and women were only occasionally given such treatment. Warfare may have been frequent, as many of the human remains bear cranial and lower arm fractures. Many of the individuals have stone points embedded in their bones as well. Skulls isolated from bodies were also found buried with the remains, which could have been trophies acquired in war. Numerous artifacts have been found that were made from human bone as well. During the Middle Holocene in the San Joaquin Valley, a diversified way of life likely existed. Penutian Yokut groups likely moved into the region from the north around 3,500 years ago, replacing Hokan groups, or perhaps northern Uto-Aztecan groups. Between around 5,000 and 1,500 years ago, during the Middle Holocene in the Cascade and northern Sierra regions, there existed the Martis complex. These people used basalt for flakestone tools and manos and metates. Lots of seed processing and gathering took place in the area. Abstract rock art originating from the Central Sierra region also spread at this time. East of the coastal mountains in Southern California lays the vast region called the Colorado Desert that is characterized by aridity, low elevation, and very few plants. Anyone who lived in the Colorado Desert during the Middle Holocene were likely diversified hunter-gatherers. The only well-documented site in the area is the Indian Hill Rock Shelter, whose prehistory begins some 4,000 years ago. Within the shelter were found numerous artifacts and rock-lined cache pits. Researchers think the shelter served as a hunting camp. By around 3,000 years ago, during the late Holocene, the intensification of acorn use and consumption reached new heights and spread all over California. The populations of the various groups grew dramatically, and sociopolitical organizations became more complex. Many of the societies documented by Europeans upon contact likely have their origins during this time. Several groups became really complex during this time, with many archaeologists viewing them as chiefdoms. Large mammals, seeds, and shellfish started becoming scarce, while acorns would have remained abundant, but still hard to process into food. More labor would have been required of people within these large societies to increase access to needed calories. Across Northern California, the beginning of the late Holocene around 2,500 to 1,500 years ago was dominated by a hunting and gathering culture called the Berkeley pattern. Along with an increase in political complexity and population growth within societies at this time, there was a massive growth in the sophistication of exchange systems. In tandem with this, sedentary villages may have been established along rivers in the region for the first time. At around 1,500 years ago, the bow and arrow began to be used. Shell beads also began to be used during this time as currency, and the territorial boundaries between groups increased in importance. In the San Francisco Bay Area region some 2,600 years ago, at a location known as the Emeryville Shell Mound site, the hunting of sea otters became a focus of the economy. Bows and arrows likely saw heavy use there as well. By the time of the late Holocene along the central coast, acorns, terrestrial hunting, and fishing became more important versus the hunting of marine mammals and the harvesting of shellfish. By about 2,600 years ago, grooved net weights and fish hooks appeared, leading to open water fishing. During the late Holocene, the Santa Barbara region was one of the most dynamic. Between about 2,600 and 650 years ago, shell bead production for use as currency increased dramatically. According to researchers, this is clear evidence of an increase in social and political complexity among these societies. At about 1,500 years ago, increasingly sedentary villages came into being consisting of both residential and communal structures. By about 700 years ago, this was the dominant settlement type. Contact and trade between mainlanders and islanders also increased after about 1,350 years ago, along with an increase in violence between them. However, the violence was often not lethal. At about 850 years ago, shell bead manufacture increased greatly, and canoes became more important. Job specialization appeared, and society became more stratified. By the time Europeans came to the region, the Chumash occupied much of the Santa Barbara coast and the northern Channel Islands. In fact, researchers think they may have been in the region for at least 9,000 years. At the time of contact, the Chumash were organized into a series of small but complex chiefdoms, with economies based on the use of shell bead currency and large sedentary villages consisting of more than 1,000 people. They used plank canoes to carry commerce between the islands and the mainland. Control of these vessels by elites was an important aspect of their power. Groups in coastal Southern California, outside of the Santa Barbara region, likely did not evolve chiefdoms, although their social complexity nonetheless probably increased over time. Trade during the late Holocene in Southern California was dynamic, with materials moving back and forth from the Southwest and the Mojave Desert. One of the major events in the region, as well as the northern portion of the Colorado Desert, was the arrival of Takic groups around 3,500 years ago. They likely originated from regions north of what is now present-day Los Angeles, and moved south, occupying the coastal Southern California regions, the southern Channel Islands, and northern San Diego County. The Takic peoples brought along with them various new ways of life. They approached the burying of their dead, the maintenance of their settlement systems, and their economy differently. They also possessed a different cultural pattern from the preceding groups of people who inhabited the area. Reliance on marine resources, mammals, and shellfish decreased, although fish became more important. In the Sierra Nevada during the late Holocene, as elsewhere in California, acorn use intensified. Populations increased dramatically, and corner-notched points came into being. Large permanent villages sprouted up along the many major rivers. Trade greatly expanded, and obsidian from the eastern Sierras moved west, while shells from the coast moved east. By about 1,500 years ago, a warming and drying trend began in the Sierra Nevada region. Populations likely declined, and the mountains became only used on a temporary basis. However, by about 700 years ago, the climate conditions became cooler and wetter, and people returned to the mountains to live there permanently so as to exploit acorn resources. Many large villages sprouted up along major rivers. Houses were built within pits and sometimes placed in groups of two. Many burial and cremation sites have been found. Once the peoples of these regions made contact with Europeans, they began trading with them immediately. However, unfortunately, their populations declined substantially from the diseases the Europeans introduced to them. Some archaeologists have theorized that the development of large and complex Native American groups was a reaction to the extensive amount of goods coming from the European traders that needed to be managed. During the late Holocene in the Central Valley, populations grew and large villages were established. Resource use intensified, and cultures grew more elaborate. In the Sacramento Valley, there were two groups living in large villages on the floor of the valley. The settlements these groups created produced large amounts of discarded shells, house pits, and had economies that were very focused on acorns and fish. In the surrounding areas among the mountains and foothills, there potentially lived Hokan people in small villages who had a less specialized social structure and economic structure. Nevertheless, they were still very much focused on acorns. Overall, the use of acorns and small animals increased, while the focus on large mammals and fish decreased. This is all indicative of population growth, which would have led to intense resource competition and decreased mobility. This in turn would have led to the usage of increasingly smaller tracts of land. Many late Holocene burials indicate that people may have fought over dwindling resources. Though pottery is rare in prehistoric California, a group of peoples in the lower Sacramento Valley made pottery over a length of time. Remains of their work have been identified at several sites. Archaeologists refer to the pottery work in this region as the Consumnes brownware tradition. Many large villages became established throughout the valley. These villages were characterized by elaborate ceremonialism and were economically governed by a complex exchange system. Shell bead currency began to be used, and socio-political complexity increased. Unfortunately, these developments were halted soon after contact with European diseases. By about 1,500 years ago, the Colorado Desert saw its population rise. Beginning about 1,300 years ago, human agricultural groups along the Colorado River began to influence Colorado Desert groups. After about 1,000 years ago, several cultural traits including pottery, small triangular points, and cremations appeared in the region of the Colorado Desert. They appeared either through diffusion or were introduced by a migrating population. Regardless, long-distance trade networks were established between the Imperial Valley and the Colorado River regions. One of the most important aspects of the Colorado Desert region was that of a huge lake. On numerous occasions during the last 15,000 years, the Colorado River would change its course and flow into the Imperial Valley, forming a large lake, which has been named Lake Cahuilla by researchers. Once the Colorado River had re-established its original course, Lake Cahuilla would evaporate and disappear. In the last several thousand years, Lake Cahuilla appeared and then disappeared around 3 to 4 times. The most recent time Lake Cahuilla existed may have been between 800 and 500 years ago. During this entire time frame, humans adapted to the temporary nature of the lake. When the lake was present, people would have had a stable economic base with plenty of fish, waterfowl, and marsh plants to eat. These resources would have been capable of supporting a fairly large population, permanent lakeshore villages, and seasonal camps to exploit terrestrial resources. After the lake disappeared, the Native American groups might have focused their attention upon permanent springs. The economic focus also might have shifted from aquatic to terrestrial resources, which likely would have resulted in an increase in the utilization of the surrounding uplands and the movement of populations to the west and east. Despite all of this, recent excavations in the region and further reanalysis of coprolite data reveals a pattern of seasonal resource use, indicating that the lakeshore sites may not have been occupied on a permanent basis. At the moment of contact with Europeans around 400 years ago, there were an estimated 500,000 to 700,000 people living in the region of California. Unfortunately, their numbers would be decimated by the onset of diseases from European settlers as well as from conflict with them. Their ways of life were challenged and disrupted by Spanish, Mexican, and finally American rule. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed my documentary, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/World Chronicles.